Hello everybody and welcome back to 2 Point Museum. First of all, right off the bat, I want to say thank you to those of you that watched the previous video. It's not really something that I've put on the channel before, anything really similar to it. But you know, you all gave me some really good comments on there and some really good feedback. So we're keeping this train rolling, and we have this second video here coming out. Next week, though, if you're tuning in and you're a Prehistoric Kingdom fan, there will be an episode of Prehistoric Kingdom next week. But for now, I hope you enjoy this little bit of content that I'm uploading again this week. So what we are doing today, where we sort of left off last time, was this museum got 1 star. And I actually don't really know how this footage is going to turn out for this time, because a lot of this playing it was a lot of sending out expeditions and waiting for exhibits to come in and, you know, analyze them and get them up to speed, get the knowledge up to a, suitable level for most of the exhibits in here. I kind of decided one thing that I really wanted to do with this was I really wanted to get all of the gold or the, what is it called? The gold maximum level exhibits, basically. So I keep sending out these expeditions here, and yeah, we are just, plowing through and trying to get through this. But what I want to talk about today is designing a gallery space, designing a section in your museum like a real, we just got our 2nd star right there. So spoiler alert for next week, we get 3 stars. You'll see it in the live play at the end of this video, and that's right. If you tuned in to last week's episode, we didn't do a live play at the end because I was just kind of building all of this in one go, and I didn't want to do a live play and sort of give away my secrets, for next week. So end of this video, we will be having a live play here. End of the next video, we will also be having a live play, or the next 2 Point Museum video that comes out, we'll have a live play at the end of that, and we'll pretty much do it like that for the rest of the episodes, that come out of this series. If you're liking it, definitely let me know. But yeah, anyway, getting back to it, designing your gallery spaces or your little exhibition spaces like a real museum. So when you are designing a museum space, when you're designing a gallery space, there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and there's a lot of planning in the real world that goes into all of those different key elements, in a museum. And so one of the things that I actually talked at length about with some of my former colleagues in my previous museum that I worked for was the fact that museums are, in a sense, very similar to the entertainment business, very similar to, a sort of Walt Disney World like we have down here in Orlando. That's sort of the omnipresent thing that everybody down here has to kind of, juggle with and, grapple with, is that Disney always has a draw. Universal always has a draw. Even SeaWorld always has a draw and an audience. So if you're a little tiny museum in this part of the world in Central Florida, what do? Well, first of all, you don't make your museum boring and lame for people. You don't follow the sort of status quo of like, this is how a museum should be, and that sort of stuff. No, you expand and you go on and you think about what's going to be most entertaining for people. So what we're going to be doing here eventually, if I ever get to it in this video, I do know it comes at some point. Hopefully this is our first exhibit right here. It is not, but that's okay. We're going to be building our Frozone section in the room that's just above the amber room, if you can kind of see it, where the cafeteria is. That whole section there is going to be made into a Frozone section because if you didn't know, if you don't play this game, or if you really haven't gotten that far into this game, there are a lot of Frozone artifacts and a lot of Frozone pieces in this museum. There we go, we just got our gold fly, our gold bee there. I really love these amber pieces. These are so cool. I actually don't know how many of them there are in the game. I'm sure it tells you somewhere in here how many there are, but this little amber room that we have there sort of is like an entrance gallery. I really love that. But yeah, anyway, again, my ADD. If you are new to the channel, hi, hello, I have ADD, and you'll learn very quickly that I have a million thoughts that I want to get out of my head and I want to tell you all. And likely I will forget a lot of stuff that I was saying, but that's okay. You know, we'll get there in the end one day. If I start talking about something and I don't finish it, let me know in the comments. And if you have a question about what I was gonna say, let me know in the comments as well, and I will try to more succinctly respond to you there. There we go, we just got our golden Nautilus, and I put it back in the inventory just because I wanted to send out another expedition here really quickly. Or no, because we already had a golden Nautilus there, or Helix Shell, I think is what it's called. But yeah, so yes, gallery spaces. What we are going to be talking about is gallery spaces and how to design those. So I've actually been part of designing quite a few exhibitions and exhibits in my time in museums. I'll try to throw up some images of those as I'm sort of talking about them. But yeah, there's a lot of planning when it comes in to building a exhibit space for a museum, and a lot of designing of what you think is going to be most interesting. So we're taking the inspiration here in this museum again for that Frozone space. If we ever get around to it, I should honestly just cut out this part, but it's fine. You know, gives me a chance to talk, gives me a little bit longer to talk to you all about what it's like to work in a real museum. So some of the real exhibitions that I did in my previous museum, the current museum that I'm at now, I haven't been at long enough, and technically it is only a temporary job unless they decide to keep me after August. We'll see what happens, but for right now it's only a temporary job, so we'll see what happens after that. But yeah, so my previous museum that I worked at, some of the exhibits that I worked on that were a lot of fun were a lot of the space exhibits. We had one that was on Perseverance, the Mars rover, coupled with Ingenuity, that little helicopter that flew on Mars. And actually a colleague of mine that works there at that museum still, we built a replica of that Ingenuity helicopter. It was a 75th scale model of it, so a 3/4 scale, if that makes more sense to you. But it was not exactly 1-to-1. It wasn't 100% scale because the case that it was going on, and I will try to put an image up here now of the actual final product, but the case that it went in couldn't fit a 1-to-1, and so we had to make it that 75 or 75th scale, whatever you want to call it, and that scale allowed it to, no joke, the propeller blades of that just barely like scraped the glass. It was like splitting hairs, like the human width, the width of a human hair, splitting that distance to fit this thing into the case. We put some Martian regolith at the bottom, Martian dust, that was made by a company also here in Central Florida called Exolith. They make a lot of simulated regolith, simulated dirts for the moon and Mars and things like that. And actually, NASA is a big purchaser of their stuff, go figure, for testing out their rovers in a sort of one-to-one capable material to make sure, if we get dust in this part, will it still function? Will it still work? Yeah. Anyway, this big gallery here that I'm building right now, this big sort of hallway area, my thinking is if this series continues, we'll have this be a aquarium space here in our main museum. One thing that I really don't like about this sandbox here in this game is the Curator class. I love the Curator class in the campaign, but in a sandbox game, I don't see the point of it, honestly. I want to free build. I want to build things and not really have, many limitations. I'm okay with the expeditions being sent out, but I chose this museum because I didn't know this at the beginning. I didn't know that in sandbox mode you can play all of the museums, and that's cool, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like you shouldn't have to in sandbox mode. I don't know. I might just be rambling. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you agree with me or if you don't agree with me. I genuinely would love to know either way and kind of have a conversation about that. Part of why I make these videos is so that I can talk about these things to you all and sort of have a community here where I can discuss this stuff. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Curator class in the sandbox mode. I don't know how I feel about it, but anyway, I think we are now finally maybe going over to the Frozone zone if I can stall long enough here and stall just enough to maybe get it to the Frozone zone. No, we're not. That's okay. Anyway, yeah. So the Ingenuity helicopter was one that I built that I was super proud of. Some other exhibits that I was a part of at that museum was Megalodon, the largest shark. We actually got that on loan from a museum in Gainesville. Shout out to University of Florida, because their museum that was attached there, the Florida Museum of Natural History, is who we got it on loan from. Here we go. Now we're finally getting into the Frozen stuff. Anyway, that was a really fun exhibit, and that was actually the last time that exhibit was ever shown. So a little behind the scenes here, a lot of that stuff, not the real fossils, but a lot of the stuff that was designed and built for that exhibit itself. And this happens with a lot of exhibits in museums, whether they like to tell you this or not. A lot of times those things are just thrown in the trash afterwards. So as unfortunate as it was, we had a life-size 1-to-1 scale replica of a skeleton of the Megalodon that you could walk through. You yourself, your physical body, could walk through the actual size of a Megalodon's jaws from all the way at the front all the way to the back. It was awesome. But because it was a one-off and we were the very last museum to ever get that exhibit, it didn't survive. And so that's just the way it is. In museums, a lot of stuff that gets custom built for these kind of exhibits does unfortunately get thrown away at the very end. But we're finally getting into the meat and bones here into this video, and this is really the last little bit of this section here in the speed build, and we'll talk more about it in the live play here. But making these spaces really feel custom and feel tied together. This frozen space is different than the amber space, and it's different from that little general gallery space in the center, that hallway that's connecting this area to the rest of the museum. And so you want to make this place feel special. And so one of the ways to do that is to really sort of amp up the design of it. I'm still going with the very basic archways. I know it's the very 2-point style of having these fun, crazy archways. We will use a few of them later on. In this build, you'll definitely see them in the live play. I don't know if I recorded them. I can't remember, but you'll see them in the live play. But yeah, so you want to make these places feel special, make it feel like people are stepping into a different sort of environment or a different world here. And I've seen this done very, very, very well in museums, and I've seen this done very, very poorly in other museums, namely some of the museums that I've worked for. I have seen it done very poorly, but again, I've also seen it done very, very well, including in those museums that I've worked for. So yeah, it's just a toss-up, and I'm sure some of you out there have experiences as well with this stuff, and can sort of relate to an exhibit that you've seen that looks absolutely killer. But then another exhibit that you go see at a different museum, or maybe even that same exact one, that just looks so trashy and doesn't tie anything together. It's just a bunch of random stuff thrown together here. So we're trying to make this feel like it has a sense of purpose. We're using that ice cave flooring, and I think it's the dimple blue flooring along the sides there with the blue cave walls, really sort of make it feel blue and cold and cold and that sort of stuff. I'm also not a fan of these coolers. I really like the small ones that you can unlock to put in there. Those are nice, but I wish that we could hide them a little more. I do like that it stops at the wall, but I wish that we could have almost like a utility closet or something that we could stuff all of that stuff, the humidifiers, the heaters, the coolers, all of it into to sort of keep everything tucked away into its own little area so that it can still function, but that it's not impacting the guest, because that is one thing that if you go to a museum, or I know Planet Zoo talks about this a lot, of they're a little too strict on the staff buildings. They want you to hide them so far away from the guests, but if you go to a zoo and you see a staff building, that's pretty cool. But if you go to a museum and you see a piece of utility equipment, that is, in my opinion, less cool than a staff room at a zoo. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll jump back in here in just a second into the live play. All right, so we are back here in the live play now, and we're kind of going just, really slow mode here. But yeah, I think this museum turns out really well. I think it turned out really well. Again, we have our gift shop here. We've never actually really zoomed in to take a look here. But yeah, we have this main atrium opening front desk area here. I really love these, what are they called? Yeah, museum columns. I really love those. They are very reminiscent of real world museum columns. None of the museums that I've ever worked at have these columns in the front atrium area, but I'm very much taking inspiration from the American Natural History Museum, and again the British Museum for that, since this museum here kind of already fits that sort of style. So yeah, so moving in here to this gallery space, we got our first little tour here, and the tours, I would recommend, if you're playing this game for the first time, have them on the pristine, that's what it is, the top tier gold level items that you have in the museum, as long as they are all sort of together. Like all of these fossils here match up together as one sort of type. This is the only one that I don't have as a pristine, just because we haven't unlocked that area yet, but it's one of the ones that they give you as a freebie when you come into this museum, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, moving in here to we'll skip over and come in here to the amber area. We have our honeyed bee here. That is a pristine item, and our gecko here is not pristine. But that's okay. Again, we haven't unlocked that area yet, but we will eventually, and we will be getting a pristine there. But I do have here, again, we talked kind of the last episode about sponsorships. So we have here the Mudbury Festival sign, and it's right here, right when you come in. If you choose to go in this left side, which just statistically, if you are entering a building or a space, statistically talking about the human factors of this sort of thing, you're more likely to go right. If you are left-handed, you're more likely to go left, but most people are right-handed, and therefore they are most likely to go to the right. So we don't have any sponsorships over on this side. The other reason of putting this here, genuinely, that's the only place it would fit and look relatively good. So yeah, we have it there. It's fine. But anyway, coming in here, we have quite a few more exhibits than I recorded. I eventually stopped recording when it just became expedition after expedition after expedition, kind of just like how it was. So I think going forward after the next video, after the next episode, if we do continue this series, which again, let me know below if you want me to continue this series here. Maybe what we'll end up doing is I will send out all of the expeditions to gather the pristine artifacts, and then once I have enough of them, then we will come in and do a speed build of a gallery and sort of do it that way, and then do a live build at the end. So let me know if that sounds good to you. But yeah, so we have here the snowy howl skeleton. This is kind of like you can kind of see up there. It's almost like a saber-toothed cat up there, which is pretty cool. We have our frozen beehive that is pristine. These skeletons here, and there's a lot of dinosaur skeletons that you can get in this game. Again, if you are not familiar, they level up as you get more pieces. So again, I have 2 pieces here, so it is a great fossil. If I get 3, then it's an epic, and if I get 4, then it's pristine. I like how that works. It's a lot less tedious and sort of RNG than the other exhibits are, but I get it. It's a game. There's got to be some game elements in there. But yeah, so we have here as well our refrigerator, our frozen fridge that is also pristine. And this guy, who I really, really love, a frozen Mondo Mono Beast. This guy's awesome. I really want to know what happens if they unfreeze. If anybody has unfroze them. If anybody has made them not frozen, let me know in the comments what happens. Because I'm really curious what happens to these guys. I want to unfreeze him and make him run around now. And I also want to do that with the caveman too, the cave person. This is a epic piece. We don't really have many epic ones in here, but if you're unfamiliar, it's this purple sign right here in the front is how you can quickly tell if it's an epic piece. But yeah, this, I'm still hunting for that. But yeah, anyway, so moving on over here, I didn't do this in the speed build again because I just kind of stopped recording after a while once it just became expedition after expedition, and I wanted to do some other stuff here. We also again are up at 3 stars in this museum, and so to do the curator class, to get further into it, I have to get 2-star ratings. I receive a 2-star rating in 2 different museums. So again, the next episode is going to be that aquarium museum or the Wetlantian Museum. I forget the name of it. But yeah, we're going to be doing it there. I'm going to try to get to 2 stars in that so we can jump back into this real one. Or this main one. Again, not a super big fan that I have to do this in sandbox mode. In the campaign, I understand doing it, but again, in the sandbox mode, I wish I didn't have to. I would, again, love to know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But yeah, so anyway, in here, this is going to be more dinosaur fossils. This is going to be the big sort of main gallery space where we have all of those big draw dinosaurs and other extinct animals in there. Like if you go to the American Natural History Museum, for example, they have their big fossil gallery, and it's just a bunch of fossils in there, and it's super cool. They have like Stegosaurus and Triceratops and T-Rex and all of the ones that you would expect to see in a museum. They have them in one specific place. So yeah, that's what we're going to try to do here. And I do have here these, I think they're called temple archways. Let me see if I can click them. The clicking in this game, the hitboxes are a bit finicky when it comes to clicking on stuff. Yeah, temple archway. So this is I believe either a pre-order item or the Expedition edition, Explorers edition, forget what it's called. I don't know if you can still buy this or not. I know for a fact you can't buy the Sonic items, so we will try to put down a Sonic thing here. Do I have a Sonic thing? Maybe it's over here. Yeah, Sonic Claw Machine. So again, this was a pre-order thing. I'm gonna just start one. We'll put it over by the gift shop. If you didn't pre-order this game, I don't know what to tell you. There might be some nefarious platforms where you can find a key for it, but Vandal has fled conveniently as I'm talking about nefarious items. So I'm going to flee now. And this is where I'm going to leave off my video here. If you're joining me for this video, even if you just fast forwarded to this part here to the live play, I want to take a moment again to say thank you for watching the video. There is a million things you could have been doing today, and you chose to spend a little bit of that time here with me and watch me painstakingly send out expeditions and build a little tiny gallery space here in this video. And hopefully the next one will be a little interesting for you as well. But again, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to hit the like and the subscribe if you enjoyed this content. It really helps me to know whether or not you all are liking this stuff and whether or not I should keep making these kind of videos. I'm going to make these videos whether or not you guys subscribe to me or not. But if you really like it, feel free to subscribe and drop a like here. I hate saying that because it feels so like YouTubery, but yeah, it really does help out the algorithm. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to quit rambling. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next one. Until next time, bye-bye.